10 to 16-inch worms have been around for a long time, and there are plenty of anglers that have really talked about them and what great summer lures they are. But so many anglers are still skeptical, and I'll admit I was for a long time. Well, things get really different when that water heats up, and I hope after you're done with this video that you'll change your mind or at least give it a try and see how powerful big worms can really be. And this here is why I think that a big worm works so well, especially this time of year. It is pretty much visible all the time. The body of these worms are so big, whether it's a 10, 12, 14, or 16-inch worm, even in the heat of the summer when you've got your most vegetation, all kinds of muck and debris, maybe the water's getting kicked up from an active weekend, maybe you've got a lot of rocks and crevices and stuff, these big worms are just visible. They don't disappear as quickly as a lot of the finesse type baits that we use in the summertime. Now don't get me wrong, I use a lot of finesse baits in the summertime, especially a drop shot, but when I want that bigger bass, that bigger bite, these big worms they work so well. And a real important reason for that is the water temperature. So I was out filming yesterday for 5 hours underwater, and no matter where I checked on the lake, at 20 foot down, it was still 80 degrees. Well, a cold-blooded creature, that means that their metabolism is going to be the highest that it has been all year long. They need calories. Well, bigger bites really pay off here. If you've got a big old 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pound bass or bigger, they want to get a lot of bang for their buck, right? So if they're going to expend that energy, they want a meal that is worth it. Just because the water is warm doesn't mean that they're feeding all day long. As a matter of fact, a lot of you in the heat of the summer could probably agree. It seems like nothing is going on out there on the lake or in the river. So when you present that big lure to them, that triggers that instinct like this is going to be worth it. This is going to be a meal that I get something out of. As this body turns, twists, and undulates in the water column, it just looks so incredibly lifelike. And as an angler, no matter what type of action we impart on it, whether we're dragging it or hopping it, swimming it, or leaving it just sit there and twitching it, there is a lot going on. It is extremely lifelike. Now, it's really important to remember when you're fishing a big worm, and this is where a lot of people have a hesitation, even if you're using, a 6-aught or 7-aught hook, there's a lot of lure here that a bass has to inhale or swallow or potentially pick up before you can set the hook. So the real key fishing these big worms is you want to make sure that you feel something. You feel that weight, it feels spongy. You want to let the bass go ahead and take it, then go ahead and swing away and set the hook. And hey, speaking of worms, if you want to watch a video that talks about 2 different types of retrieves that we can use that also look extremely lifelike, and it works for all soft plastics, go ahead and check this one out right here. And make sure that you go out and encourage someone today. You never know how you might just change their life. For the Bass Fishing Life, I'm your host, Steve Rogers.